thoughts on like the increase of sedentary behavior in youth?
I think it's terrible. I have a young daughter. We work out. She's 4.5. We go running, we jog, we hike, we have fun outside. In fact, for every hour of TV she gets, she has to exercise at least 2 hours to 1 hour of TV. And it doesn't necessarily mean we're hiking over a hill or something like that, but it just needs to be movement and not sitting around.
Are parents push their kids to get involved in sports, or usually are kids wanting to do this on their own?
I'm seeing a real difference between two sets of parents. You have the parents that tend to push their kids into way too many sports, and they're playing multiple sports throughout the week, 2 or 3 different teams. I think that's a little crazy. And then I see parents that are unwilling to push their kids at all, and sit them in front of TV constantly and don't get them motivated to do anything. So I'm seeing a real disconnect between the two groups. I don't see a lot of middle ground. So almost the opposite of a bell curve.
Does St. Clair participate in any programs or initiatives that focus on active lifestyles?
Our soccer programs, our track programs. Outside of that, no, there's no specific program that's set up to get kids active. We have very active kids, but they're active because their parents force them into sports. Mm-hmm. I'm curious, what they do when they're not in sports. I think a lot of them just sit on their butt.
Now, after school, what's your favorite thing to do?
Read. I play with my dogs. I usually like to go to my soccer practices.
My favorite things like video games probably, so.
Well, after school, kids have the freedom to do the activities they wish. During school hours, St. Clair students have a required 10-minute recess after lunch and 2 30-minute physical education classes per week.
Now, what kind of things do you guys do during PE?
Well, we do things that involve our physical traits and that, and also that seem like that are fun.
First we stretch and then we run for about 2 to 3 minutes, and then we usually, every week we have like a theme kinda, so this next week will be basketball, but if we don't have a theme or we're hearing something, we'll just play a game like line tag.
First we warm up with just jumping jacks and that stuff, and then we play games like prisoner ball and we'll do battleship and stuff like that.
And what's your favorite thing to do during PE?
Kickball. Volleyball.
I play kickball.
Prisoner ball.
Probably battleship.
Now, what do you usually do during recess?
I play soccer and sometimes kickball.
So we usually just play with the ball or something like that. Sometimes we'll talk, sometimes we'll play games. So.
How do you select what the students are doing during PE? I mean, do you switch it up by a day or?
I see the kids twice a week, and I have noticed that I do have to switch it up every couple of weeks, the different activity, because if they do get bored, that's when they start going, oh, my foot hurts, or oh, my head hurts, and I can't, do it. So the more I change, the more they are involved. I see some in kindergarten, and I can see that they're not doing a whole lot, by the time they're in 7th and 8th grade. I mean, it's a pattern, but there's not a whole lot of kids that just kind of sit around here. Now, they might do it at home, but we do have a lot of kids that participate in everything. I know some kids that don't do anything outside of school, so when they are when we are in PE, I do have them try and do some running exercises and things like that, because I know they don't get it at home. And so I try to tell them, just going for a walk or playing tag with your friends, anything to get them outside, because it is so much easier now to just stay inside and do nothing.
Let's get physical.
You hear a lot more. I mean, I don't necessarily see it, but I hear them talking about what games they're playing, and during the weekends, how long they, were downstairs playing the game and things like that. So yeah, I hear it more than I actually see. I think the kids need to, like you said, to go out on their own more and do things, or their parents need to try and get them, and not necessarily a sport, but just anything, go to the Y, take a walk, things like that.
As Mrs. Geddes mentioned, students have to understand the importance of living an active and healthy lifestyle.